Happy to welcome our colleague here at SuperTalk Mississippi. He makes coastal Mississippi his home. Ricky Mathews, host of the Ricky Mathews Show and also SuperTalk Outdoors. We have been in a weather pattern where it has just been gorgeous every single day. Mid-80s, a lot of sunshine. Oyster season opened this week. I think it was October 13th was opening day for oyster season. How's the fishing? How are the oysters coming along? And ready for deer season on the coast?
Well, listen, hey, I was in the Mississippi Delta this past weekend getting ready, and it's super dry and dusty up there. I think we're going to maybe get a little bit of rain, but we need some rain. This is the time of year you pray for rain. On the coast, man, the weather has been unbelievable. I told my wife Ann yesterday, have you ever seen a string of days where we wake up and see such beautiful clear skies? And what that means for fishing is as I've had many charter boat captains on both of my shows, the fishing down here has never been better. It's absolutely incredible right now. So yeah, things are, we're in that change, man, moving from, the summer fishing trends to getting ready to go hunting. It's a beautiful time of year in Mississippi. That's for sure.
There's no question about it. Ricky, you and I have talked a lot about economic development in the southernmost part of the state, coastal Mississippi, as you have referred to it for a number of years right now. And your focus has been on a coastal Mississippi building economic alliance. And we've seen that work successfully in different parts of the state of Mississippi. Obviously, kind of the star in the crown is in the Golden Triangle with all that they've done with Link. We're seeing it in north central Mississippi with partnerships between Lafayette, Panola, Yellowbusha, and Tate counties. There are other parts of the state that have at least considered this, and you have advocated mightily through the pen and the typewriter, well, computer, and your words on the air that coastal Mississippi desperately needs this. Are we making any progress?
I think, what's very interesting, the last piece that I wrote talking about the labor pressures in Jackson County and how it's hard for a Bollinger or a Ingalls or Chevron or others to be parties to conversations about other, maybe other shipbuilders coming to the community, because there's such a stress on the workforce right now. VT Bollinger, who bought VT Halter Marine, is going to add over 3,000 direct and indirect jobs as a result of this polar ice cutter project that they're involved in. So there's a lot of stress, and I think what that does is bring into focus, if we don't want more manufacturing like we have now, then what do we want? And one of my contentions, as I've told you many times before, I updated the numbers in this most recent piece that I wrote, but over 91,000 jobs in coastal Mississippi, direct and indirect, are tied to gaming and to government. That's shipbuilding, the military bases, and Stennis. And, do we want all our eggs in that basket? And the truth is that this is with all the success that they've had in the Golden Triangle and other parts of the state, we're still the economic engine for Mississippi down here. So you're operating from a position of strength. But when you start to factor in gaming competition, use of more advanced manufacturing techniques, you think about AI and what it's going to do. There's going to be some big challenges for us in the future. We should be having big conversations about how to diversify our economy. That's where my press is.
I agree on the diversifying piece, but I also would ask, is there something to the idea of leaning in to that which you are best at, or leaning into what the natural resources or the topography allows for? Is the best plan for coastal Mississippi to really diversify into more sectors, be it manufacturing or others, or is it better to say, we've got this hub for shipbuilding, we've got this hub for military, and those are the sectors that we really need to lead into and capitalize on?
No, I actually think you're right about that. I believe we have to do it all. That's kind of where my head is. So okay. I was talking to someone called yesterday, a really significant economic leader in our state called me yesterday, and we had over hour-long conversation. And we talked about the situation now as it relates to onshoring of shipbuilding and the efforts that Trump has underway. I mean, this may not be a limitless time that we have here. The opportunity in front of us may be short. And so we don't have time to sit around and think about this stuff. This is the time is now. And a lot of the stuff that we're thinking about that we would have to do is going to require time to put all these things in place. You know, I was saying there are over 100,000 shipbuilders across America. The average age is over 50. You know, they're losing those at 20% a year. So the manpower issues that we're experiencing here are common across the United States. So that's for sure. But man, let's face it, we're going to be building more ships in America. There's no doubt about that. And why not lean into it? And so there's a push and pull. Hey, I'll tell you another interesting thing. While there may be a lot of winking and nodding saying we don't want more shipbuilding and stuff may be being killed as we speak as a result of it, I'm also hearing from laborers who work in these places to say, let me understand what you're writing. There's an opportunity here for more shipbuilding opportunities that could actually raise our salaries and make us more successful. So there's, you got to look at both sides of the coin here. And I think we should lean into it. We should not have anti-gaming, anti-competition in gaming. We should build more gaming sites here because the barrier to entry is high. To build another resort here, you're talking about nearly $1 billion to be successful, and so on. You got Stennis, high tech, the opportunities in Pearl River County. It's enormous. But the point is we're not having a joint regional conversation about where we are now and where we want to go. That's where I am I'm urging them that we need to do that.
I was having a conversation with a guest I think it was a few months ago. And I asked him to explain to me, as someone who has not lived in coastal Mississippi, you have these 3 counties along the coast that are unique in the way they're made up and the way businesses are put together, and in some cases how they believe politically or what they believe in economically or whatever, and that historically they've all been kind of independent. Like, let us do our thing and you do your thing and kind of leave each other alone. How much of what you're talking about is a legitimate pushback against decades of what has been kind of the norm?
No, I actually think the way you described that, Roland Weeks, the former publisher of the Sun Herald, who we laid to rest, was it yesterday? Yes. I mean, my mentor, and I became publisher after him. He taught me a lot about the way it has always been. And he said, we never really the folks in Jackson never had to really pay much attention to us because we were so busy fighting amongst ourselves. But I think Katrina, Richard, changed so much for us. It brought us together. It forced us. There's a powerful lubrication, the change that comes from pain. Katrina brought that. We formed the Gulf Coast Business Council. We formed the Coastal Mississippi Tourism effort. I led tourism after for the Governor's Commission, and we recommended doing a regional effort toward tourism. So we've made a lot of progress. But what happens is people fall back into their silos. You get new people that come that don't have that history. The institutional knowledge is missing. We got a lot of older leaders. Unfortunately, too many have passed on, like George Schlegel and others. And so, it's a complicated place. Layers of the onion that are hundreds of layers thick. You get about 5 or 10 layers in, you think you understand it. It's so much more complicated than that. So it's hard. This is not easy work. But I think the best way to start is you got to say, let's stay at the table together, guys. Let's don't go back into our silos. Let's stay at the table together. Let's go at this together, and let's see where the future could take us if we're more proactive about some big stuff. Let's go build 1,000-acre mega site somewhere. Let's go take from what they're doing in Alabama, what they've done in the Golden Triangle, and let's do that at coastal Mississippi, where ports are readily accessible and highway systems are readily accessible, and we're centrally located in America. Let's go take advantage of that. I think that's where we need to go.
Might it make sense for an automobile manufacturer to set up shop on the coast? Perhaps that's what diversifying might look like. We'll continue the conversation with Ricky Mathews, host of the Ricky Mathews Show and Mississippi SuperTalk Outdoors. After this quick timeout, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Good to be with you this morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Mr. Lewis and I are going to build ships together. Great big ships.
One of the iconic lines from Pretty Woman. Tip of the cap to my wife for sending me that clip this morning. I always think about that, Ricky, when you talk about the shipbuilding industry and the growth of that in coastal Mississippi. Ricky Mathews is my guest. He is the host of the Ricky Mathews Show and Super Talk Outdoors that you can hear each week. I'd like, if we could, to switch gears for a minute. There's this massive debate that's happening locally across the entire state of Mississippi, and we know it's an issue that the legislature has set its sights on and is going to tackle. I think right out of the gate when they come back into session in January, and that's this school choice, educational freedom conversation. And it seems to be an issue that has got pretty significant division. You got people that are absolutely for it, universal school choice, and then you got people that are absolutely against it. One of the things, Ricky, that we have seen is school districts almost preemptively have come out and said, no, we are not for school choice. And I think it's largely because they see that dollars that are currently allocated to public schools in a universal school choice situation could be moved to private schools or charter schools or other entities as they are set up. We know that coastal Mississippi has got some incredible school districts. What are you hearing locally in terms of across those three counties on the coast, opinions about this school choice conversation?
You know, one of the things that really occurs to me is that for people with means, you have school choice now. You know, that's one of the most important things to say to start out with. My kids went to the Catholic school system here in coastal Mississippi, and my grandkids now go to the Catholic school system. So parents with means are a way to do it, or determination, have some kind of school choice today. When I talk to public sector, school administrators, they're not for it. You know, I mean, you just said it. You just it seems to me that it probably is a lot about the money. They don't feel like they're being brought into the conversation. You follow me? They don't feel like they're being heard. And so on the House side, it's, Katie bar the door, full steam ahead. And then on this, as you already well know, on the Senate side, it's we're going to go forward, one step at a time. And so my sense is we'll land somewhere in between. But boy, I'm telling you, the administrators I talk to, they're going to dig in their heels. So the opposition for doing what the House wants to do is going to be very substantial. I'm sure you're hearing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had a school administrator that talked about to me about this recently that said, going down this road further divides the haves and have-nots. You talk about it and you're like, oh, well, if you allocate dollars, you're going to give the opportunity for kids to go to places that they haven't. But if you create that opportunity to leave a failing school district, and I don't think there are many people that are against the idea of, if you are in a D or F district, having the opportunity to move into a district that better suits your needs. But you're going to further separate those that are doing well and those that are doing poorly, which I thought was an interesting position.
I think it's possible. Look, one of the things that I'll never forget, this is when I was publisher of the Sun Herald. Haley Barbour had been governor for a little bit of time. And he had, just before he came to this editorial board meeting, he had visited a school. I wish I could remember where it was, but it was in a poor county in Mississippi. And the particular school district where he went, maybe it was just a school. It may have been a school. It may have been a school district. But the point I still can make clearly, not remembering that part, and that is that he was surrounded by failing schools. This area was surrounded by failing schools, but where he visited was doing extremely well. And he was really hit by it, that he said, gosh, man, it really is not a matter of whether it's in a poor area or a rich area or the haves and the have-nots. It all has to do with who's leading it. The schools that are led well tend to do well. The schools that have great teachers and have high standards even public schools or otherwise, tend to do well. And so I never will forget that. And giving parents the ability to find those schools, however they are. I wonder, for example, I think one of the most important things Mississippi did is broadband access. What they've done to work with electric co-ops to put miles and miles and miles of fiber optic cable in rural areas of Mississippi, and creating broadband accessibility for families is going to have impacts we can't fully understand now. But in really remote areas, are there remote learning opportunities here that would give parents the opportunity to not have to go to some high value, high cost private school? I don't know what the answers are going to be, but everyone deserves to have an education in a school like Haley described to me. That's what I will never forget, and that's what school choice is about.
Ricky Mathews is my guest, host of the Ricky Mathews Show and SuperTalk Outdoors. This is a really big picture question, and I ask it because of your time in the publishing industry and covering politics at the state level and also at the national level. Historically, Republicans have the reputation for kind of being stodgy and button up and a little stiff, and Democrats a little more loose, a little more free-flowing. And there has been a sea change, and Republicans have become fun, and Democrats have become angry, seemingly all the time. How did this sea change happen?
Man, that's a great question.
For that one.
No, I wasn't, but I don't mind answering it. I'm center right. That's where I am in my world. So I represent a school of thought that represents the majority of Americans. Whether you're center left or center right. Most Americans are somewhere in the middle. But what I used to say is that the 10% of the polarizing ends on the left and the right tend to decide the conversation. But I don't actually say it that way anymore. I think on the left, the 10% are deciding the conversation. But what's happening, and you got to give Trump a lot of credit for this, that Trump has created a scenario where it's not like this wild, highly conservative 10% all the way polarizing to that end, deciding the conversation. It seems like everyone's sort of coalescing together around a school of thought. And it's a lot more organized where it seems that the right is a lot more in sync with one another, and they know what the message is. The message is clear. And over here, you've got the moderates that the moderates aren't even on the left are not even really able to say how they think, because the conversations are being controlled by the 10%. So I think Trump gets a lot of credit for that. So we can talk about social media and how that divides us. We could spend a whole show on that. I came from that world, but boy, I tell you that the message is so clear on the Republican side. That's the bottom line. And it gets clearer, doesn't it, Richard? It doesn't get less clear. It gets more clear to me, especially when you start seeing international successes and, you see, this trade, how we're digging in around trade, and the average person can talk about it. In the old days, but the average person couldn't even talk about it. But I'm talking to just normal people on the street today that can talk about these issues in ways you would have never seen back in my days when I was publisher of the Sun Herald. So it's a new world, man. And the way social media is engaging people, and whether it's dividing us or not, it's still informing them. And the message is a lot more clear on the right than it is on the left these days.
Yeah, and it feels like kind of maybe the three tent poles of the Republican Party are we want peace, and we want economic prosperity, and we want law and order. And it doesn't feel like those three things should be dividing ideas, and yet, when you say those things out loud, to the anger piece I was talking about, so security, I would put that in the law and order category. Yeah. But if you say those things out loud, there's somebody on the left that wants to scream, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a homophobe, you're a, whatever ist or obia there is, fill in the blank.
Yeah, listen, my leaning left friends are just going crazy over all this. I mean, and they have no control over the message. Sadly, it's very unfortunate. But
Ricky, I always appreciate your time.
Yeah, you bet, man. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you.
Good visiting with you as well. I know you're going to continue to beat the drum for economic partnership in coastal Mississippi, and couldn't be in more lockstep with you. Want to see great things.
Yeah.
You've called it the economic engine of the state a number of times, and it's hard to argue with that given what's coming from the coast.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
You bet. My pleasure, my friend.
Ricky Mathews, host of the Ricky Mathews Show and SuperTalk Outdoors, a great lover of the state of Mississippi. We've got half an hour left with you. We're back on the other side of this timeout. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi.